Okay, good evening. We are recording this session for those who either want to hear it again or those who couldn't attend live.
Mhm.
And all I'll do now is introduce again Yelena, who's going to walk you through the second presentation on, uh, um,
Cognos analytics.
yeah, there you go, Cognos Analytics.
Cognos.
I almost said coronavirus. Cognos Analytics. So pay attention and it'll be a lot of information, but remember the session's being recorded. Okay, Yelena, go ahead.
All right, so try guys to focus as best as you can. Well, all right, so here is tonight's agenda. We're gonna continue from where we stopped last time, and we're gonna talk about dashboards and infographics, how to add visualizations, etc. And we're gonna talk about building a story. And when I show you what I'm talking about, it's gonna make more sense. And your last assignment, assignment 5, is going to be a group work. So I'm going to talk about what's going to happen then, okay? Now, at the end, there is a little bonus, but you have to stay through the end or listen to this recording all the way through the end to see it. All right, so here we go. As you may recall, last time we were working with the claims and weather data, right? So basically the data tracks the customer number, right? Customer state, and the country is United States, right? And it's tracking the car claim, right? So that's it is the car insurance coverage type and how much person pays per month, right? Personal income, etc. And based on that, we're trying to predict the total claim amount, right? So here's a partial data screenshot. So pay attention. This is what you're going to need to do in your assignment 4. You're asked to provide the partial data screenshot, and then you're asked to summarize what you did in your assignment 3, right? So just for the purpose of this demonstration, let's assume that this is what I did in assignment 3. So this is a data module, right? And I call it claims and weather data module, and let me open it up. So this is what I did in here. Okay, it's a continuation of what we did in the last session. Basically, as you may recall, this data had a lot of missing values. So what I did was I defined the global filter, right? If I go into here, properties, as you may remember last time, we defined the filter, right? And the filter criteria is must have effective due date, right? So basically, if you look at this, here is what I did. I said this effective date is not missing, so that's a criteria, right? That's a summary. I'm summarizing what was done. Then I also did this. Remember that we had a variable that was called income, right? So this is an income. If I go into the expression and I said this, if income is missing, I want to set it to the average, right? Then I did the same thing to there were a couple variables that had missing values, right? So I did basically the same thing to that, right? I believe it was this one, monthly premium. If you look at that, so see this is another variable. I did not show you last time, but this is what I did. I followed a similar logic, okay? And then if you look here, so what I did on the next slide, I summarized what was done. Uh, so this is effective to date not missing. Then here, I created a selectable filter that allows me to filter out personal uh, insurance, personal policy type for the small vehicle, right? So that was a selectable filter that we defined in the last session. Here, this is the income and then the monthly premium values, right? I did the same thing. Now here, uh, there is a field, it's called the claim reason. I followed the same method, but if the claim reason is missing, I set the value to be unknown. Otherwise, it's a claim reason. So I had a categorical variable that had the claim reason, right? Claim reason is one of the categorical variables. And what I did was I handled the missing value there. I did not show you that last time, right? Because Otherwise, we would have stayed until the morning. But trust me, it's in here, okay? So this was handled. Then we also, last time we created the data group, right? And I summarized it in here for you, right? So this is a data group. And I said, okay, total claim. Oh yeah, one more thing I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you shortly. But here, this is a data group, and I said, okay, I'm gonna group my number of policies, right? And I binned it as if it's 8 or higher, it says 8 or above, right? Then between 6 and 8, it's gonna be 6 to 8, and etc. Right? As you may recall, this is what we did last session, and then I did something else in here that we did not explicitly do it last session in a data modular, but we did it in the exploration workbook. But because I want my work to be reusable, so this is what I did in here. I went in here, and this is the total claim amount, right? In all my visualizations, I'm not interested in a grand total, right? I'm not interested the total amount of all claims. Instead, I'm going to be interested in the average, right? In the average total claim amount. So this is what I did in here. I opened up the properties. If you open up this column properties, in here, I did the aggregate, and I changed it to average. I set it in the data modular. So that way, every visualization that I create is going to be looking at average, right? And also, if you may recall, in here, so this is a data group, right? Number of policies. Here, this is a hidden column. This is basically tracks the bin number where the value falls into, right? So this is, we did it last time. We did something else last time. We created some data explorations, right? Let's close this out. Let's go back. Let's close this. Let's go back to the welcome page. So last time, here are the explorations that we created. So this was, let's assume this was your assignment 3, and you created the spiral models, and you created the decision tree, right? You created that in your assignment 3. In this case, I'm predicting the average total claim amount. So here's my model, all right? But notice that, do you see the problem in here? Okay, so see that this is my comparison visualization. I have a set of cards, but you might be asking yourself here, okay, is there some kind of like a link between these cards? For all of this, I'm using the same data source, right? Same data source, but is there a way to kind of like filter one of these cards and make the filter apply to all of them? No. Is there a way for me to change this color? No. Is there a way for me to add some text or anything like that, or any images or any widgets? No, right? So that leads to our next topic, dashboards. Dashboards, basically we organized our findings in a presentable form. And you are asked to summarize the dashboard key features in your assignment work, right? So let's go back to the slides, right? Here is a dashboard. The idea is to present insight about the data. We combine visualizations, and if visualizations use the same data modular as a source, they will be automatically linked. The visualizations that I placed on the same page of the dashboard, as long as they use the same data modular as a source, they're going to be linked. So basically, if I select one data point, right, or one state in one visualization, the same state will be automatically selected in all of them. Then I can add text and I can add widgets if I want to. I can change my properties. And of course, I can reuse visualizations from the exploration workspace, right? You may toggle between view mode and edit mode. So view is basically a preview. You are kind of like taking on the end user role and see what end user will see it. And edit mode is basically when you make changes. Well, of course, similar to what you did in exploration workspace, you may add calculations on the fly, you may add navigation paths, etc. But keep in mind that any calculations that you add in the dashboard level it will not be available when you create a new dashboard from the same data source. So if you want the calculation to be available in all dashboards that you create, you may want to put it in a data module, okay? This is similar to what we did last time, right? Last time we used the exploration workbook. If I created something in the exploration, it's not available in the data module. Okay, so this is very important. What you create, where and when. So now I'm gonna show you how to create a new dashboard. Right? So there is more than one way to do it. Again, you can access. There's different way to access your data module. Since I just opened it, it's gonna appear on my recents. And also, I could find it in my content, but I have a lot of stuff in here. So I would have to probably filter it out. Remember that you can filter it by the content type. Like for instance, if I want to see, if I want to see only data, right? Then I would apply the filter here and I'm gonna select just data. And then I can also change, I can select what I modified today, etc. Right? Or the easiest way could be this. See this, I can go in here and I'm gonna say create dashboard. Now, what is this? I have two options here. There is a top dashboard and there is an infographic. Infographic is a single page, all right? And then when you want to apply the filter, it will apply to the whole page. You cannot split the visualizations into tabs. And this one, this template is a topped, right? I'm gonna use topped. Another limitation is that you can straight export the top dashboard into a story, right? It's going to be our next topic for today. But you cannot export infographic as a story, all right? So here, we need to be really careful with which template we select. Well, one thing is that if you select these predefined templates, your visualization is going to rescale based on a screen size. Okay, so wait a minute. Looks like you have a question in the chat. Oh, no audio? Steve, can you hear me? Everybody, can you hear me? Guys, if you cannot hear me, please let me know.
I can hear you fine, Elena.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. So basically, one thing to note is that those are the predefined templates, right? So, and I spelled it out for you. When you select the predefined, right, then the visualizations are going to scale out based on your screen size. Like for example, sometimes you want to play it on a larger screen and etc. Right? And you might also customize a template. And in general, it's possible to create custom templates. Don't worry about in this class, but I have some people asking, so it is possible. And you might customize, right? You might customize. It's possible. Anyway, so let's go ahead and select I like the 2x2. Well, it has to be a balance because the more visualizations you put, the longer it's going to take for the page to load and the harder it could get to see stuff. Okay, so I'm going to select OK. So here it is. I've got 4 slots in here. Okay, in theory, well, it's 4. I selected the 2x2. What is this here? Let's take a look. Here are my variables from the data module, right? Different icon means different data type, right? Now here, what is this? This is a filter. Do you remember that? Right? We created in the data module, so I can go ahead and reuse it if I want to. And here, this is a data group. Everything is available. Similarly, I could create the calculation and use it here too. The only thing that is not available is the row ID and also the group number. Remember, we had a couple hidden columns. They're not available for visualizations for the user. They cannot be used inside the visualizations, right? So now here I selected the top template, right? But if you did not like it, I believe you could still change it. Okay? You could double click in here or click in here. When you click on this, you can change the headings, right? Or you can change the template. Yes, over here. If you don't like the template that you selected, you don't need to delete the file. You can do that here. You can change the template here. Okay? Okay, you can always change the template, and you may use a different template on each tab. Okay, so here I have 2 by 2, right? Here I have my variables. What can I do here now is there are multiple ways to add visualizations. One way to do that, I can just drag and drop my variable here. I can just take this, drag and drop. It will do some visualization for me, but take a look at this. If I drag and drop the state, make sure that you put the cursor on top of this arrow. When you do this, the visualization will automatically scale to this area, right? So what I see in here, well, this is a state, right? Those are the 4 states that have data in my specific scenario. I have data in the 4 states. Remember it from last time? What I could do here is this. I could modify this visualization. I can click on this. So this is called, remember, vocabulary, focus mode. This is called the focus mode, okay? So when I click on this, I expand the visualization, and it's similar. I've got the data slots in here, right? This is similar, somewhat similar to what you saw in data exploration. And what I could do now, so this is map, remember, it will recognize the state data, right? It will recognize that my data is geographical in this case. And then for location color, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. I'm going to drag and drop the customer, and I want to do the count. So here, the visualization is doing, yeah, it's doing a count by default. So that's basically showing the number of claims per state, something like that, right? So all of these are optional, right? These slots are optional. I could, if I wanted to, I could show perhaps the average income, etc. I could use the points if I wanted to. But let's minimize it. So I've got 4 states in here, right? Notice it, 4 states. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, somebody says no audio. I don't know what's going on because I'm speaking. So maybe it's an internet connection or something, but I'm speaking. Okay, now here it is. Look, here this is a visualization, but what I mentioned earlier that the more visualizations you put, the longer it's going to take to load, and etc. Right? Similar. See here, you can see the data that is being visualized. Oh, well, actually, it's rather showing me the whole data module in here. This is a data preview. Okay. Now I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to do another visualization here. Well, I'm going to do something that also has states, okay? Well, and the reason is I want to show you that the visualizations are connected. So let's do this. Now I'm going to use a different approach to do visualizations. I can do this. I can click here, and I can pick any visualization that I want, right? Like, for example, let's say I want to do the pie chart, right? And I want to put the segments. I want the segments to be the state, right? This is a segment. And the size, I want to count the number of customers. So this is the size, right? Here it is, right? In this case, it's showing the number of customers. So this is a visualization. Now I'm going to save it. First, I'm going to save it, save as, and I'm going to name it as, well, first of all, you have to save it in your area, my content. Remember that you need to select my content. By default, for some reason, it's selecting team content. If you try to save it in a team folder, not team for your assignment 5, but in general, if you try to save it in the team area, which is read only, you're going to get an error. Or the save button could be grayed out. So just keep that in mind. You need to select my content, and then you need to name it. Well, I want to make sure that I'm using the unique name, okay? Okay, because I already have something with this name. So let me go ahead and I'm going to save this, right? I'm going to save it. Now what you can do is this. You can look at the properties, right? This is something that you have not seen in, there is something that you have not seen. You missed it when you did the explorations. Take a look at this. To look at the properties, you have to select the visualization explicitly. Now here, this is the properties, okay? Let's take a look at what I can change here. I can change the color code, right? Color palette, or I can go back to my legend. I want to show the legend, right? Legend position automatic. I could change this too. Then I can go back to my chart and I want to show the values, but instead of showing the numbers, I want to see the percentages. See this? I can change it. Now, here, sometimes depending on the color, it might be hard to read the numbers. So I want to do change the contrast, right? If I wanted to, I could add the shadow, or what else I could do is this one. I could change the label location, or I can do this, which this will change this into the donut. I specify the radius of this, right? So that's another thing I can change. Now, you can see there are more properties in the general. And if I go to the appearance, I can say I want to see the title, and then I can enter the title such as claims percentage by state, right? So this is my title. Then I can do something more. I can change the text color of my title. Then I can make it centered. Then you can make it bold, and you can change the font if you want to, and etc. Right? So I modified the properties of this visualization, and I'm going to save it. But the properties that are available for me depend on the visualization type that I'm taking. Okay, like if I select this visualization, see that the properties changes. The properties changes because it's a different visualization. Similarly, if I don't select any visualizations, right, I can change the page properties, such as if I want to show to grid, if I want to snap objects to grid, then in here, what I could do is I can change how my tabs appear. Like for example, I can do the title color. Oops, I can change the color of the tab title into red, and then I can make the selected color to appear green. So something like that. So the tab that is selected will appear in green. Like for instance, take a look at this. I'm gonna add another tab, right? So this is what I'm doing basically. I'm changing how things appear. Those are the properties that you can change here, but you could not change back in a data exploration, right? So I hope everybody is paying undivided attention here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add something else with a state, because I want to make sure, I want to show you what I mean by relationship connections. So first I'm going to save, always save your work, because if something happens to your internet connection, if the session closes, if you did not save the work, it will be lost. Okay, that's lesson learned. All right, so another way I can add visualizations is this. Do you remember this little friend? Remember this little friend we used last time, right? Where I can do show data, and then I can find my data that I want to look at, which is this claims and weather data module. Oops, here it is. Now what I could do is this. I can do the visualization. Like I can pick, let's click on more. Let me pick on a state something. I want to do something that has a state. Oh, okay, well, if I don't see it, I can just do this. I can just do the total. Well, I want to do the total claim amount in another tab, but if I don't see it, I can just do, let's do this. Let's do the income, okay? And then I want to look at income by state. So let's just do something like, let me see what happens if I type this income. by state. Let's see if it gives me something. It probably will. Oh, there we go. I got my income by state. So I can do this now and I can add this here. Why not? Let's do this. I can add this. So this is the income by state, right? Average income by state, whatever that shows. I would have to click in here to see what it's doing. But the bottom line is that you have state everywhere, right? You have a state everywhere. And this showing state, and this is the income, the color code. And let me look at the summarize. And for the summarize, I don't want to look at the sum of how much people earned. I want to do the average. Okay, but since I did not set this in the data module, I would have to set it in every visualization. Okay, another way around would be is to close this dashboard, go back to my data module, fix it in there, right? Close data module and reopen this, right? But this change that I just make won't be available everywhere. It will be available just here. So here it is. This is a state, right? I'm gonna save it. So this is what's gonna happen right now. Which I'm going to select one state in here. Is this? I filtered the data by state. The same filter is applied to all visualizations. The same state was selected in all visualizations. See this? And the reason is all visualizations on the same tab are linked automatically as long as they use the same data source. It's possible to use more than one data module to build your dashboard, but you cannot link the visualizations if they're based on different data source. Okay, remember that. So now, do they have to be linked like this? No, I can break the link. This is what I'll have to do. In here, that shows me, see this, all visualizations fall in the same group number 1, right? These are linked. What I could do is this. I can select the visualization that I no longer want to be linked, and I'm going to break this link. See this? I would have to click on here. See this? When I click on this, this is an option to break the link, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna break all links. So this visualization is going into the second group. See this? See this? So now these two are linked and the second one is not. So when I close this out, when I go back to this, all right, when I select one state in here, the same state will be selected in these two visualizations, but not in this one. Not in this one, because I unlinked them, see? You can link visualizations and you can specify how you want to link them. By default, the visualizations that use the same data source are linked, all right? I can unlink them. Or I can go back to this. This is called, another term for this is a widget connection. And I can do this. I can say this one, right? I click here and I want to add to connection 2. See this? I can add this to my group 2, right? I can specify how to link them, okay? And then when I unclick this, see this? When I select the state here, it's gonna select the state in the bottom one. Or I can go back and I can relink again. So I can go back, I select this, and then I go in here and I can do this. Okay, I can create a new connection, I can create a brand new group, right, if I want to. So now I'm gonna have 3 groups. This will be independent, selecting a state in one. Visualization does not automatically select the state in the others. Or I can go back and do all of them again. I can combine all of these 3 again. Okay, so this is what I'm doing here. And I'm going to do this again, okay? So those are the 3. I got them back. Okay, I got them back. Now, let me unclick this. Okay, so remember that, let's save this first, because if anything happens, right, if I lose connection or anything happens on the VDA beyond my control, I don't want to lose the work that I did. okay? Because once you lost work, that's it. There is no way to reproduce it. If it's not saved. Now, here it is. So I have this selected. Into unselected, you can also do this. You can uncheck, unfilter it, right? What you also could do is you could apply the filter to the whole tab, or you could apply the global filter to 2 tabs. But before we do that, we need to add something to the second tab. This is our second tab, and this is what we can do. We can reuse the visualizations we created in a last session. But one thing that I wanted to show you first is this, and I discovered this by accident. So see this here, if I click here, right? Here are the visualizations that you can select. Then you've got this little guy in here, the assistant. In this area, here is the data. Notice this, over here, you don't have any navigation path, right? Because you are using the data module in here. On the other hand, when I go back to this is the exploration that we did last time. I'm gonna open it. Do you see this? In here, if I go back to the data, this is a navigation path, right? It allows me to drill through. I can look at the data by state, and then I can look at it by location within state. Because I created it in the exploration, not in the data module, it's not available for me in the dashboard. But what I noticed today is that if I take the visualization that uses this, it utilizes this feature. If I copy this and paste it into the dashboard, I noticed that by accident that this navigation path, if you're lucky, would be copied over. If you're lucky. But it will not be it still will not be added to the data module. It will be added to the dashboard if you're lucky, okay? So what you could do to copy visualizations that you created last time, you have several options in here. You can go back in here, right? Here are the cards. Those are the cards that we created. I could go here. So this is one of my cards. And if I want to, I can just do this, watch. This visualization, this is the one where I could drill down. This is the one with the drill down, right? Because I could do this. I could select one state and I could drill down, right? I could drill down to the area within the state, and then I can go outside again, right? So this is the one. At the moment, I don't have this navigation path in a display, right? In the dashboard, sorry. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna copy this. I copied this, right? Now, well, I have to save it. I'm going to go back. Now here, it shows you what you have open. I'm not using my browser back button. Instead, I'm using this menu here. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm going in the second tab, right? I'm gonna try to paste it. There we go. To paste it, I use the Control V. So I pasted this visualization, and take a look at this. With this, the navigation path is copied. I discovered it, okay? So this is one way to bring the visualization from the workbooks that you did in assignment 3, right? So this is assignment 4. This dashboard is going to be assignment 4. To copy over the visualizations from assignment 3, you can do copy and paste what I just did, or this is an alternative. I'm going to here, and I can pin my visualization. So this is the number of customers by state, and this is a spiral visualization that I did. And I can do this. See this? When I add this pin, this is equivalent, pin is equivalent to the favorites, right? So I need to go back to my visualizations. This is a visualization here, and I can put this. See this? When I click on this pin, this is supposed to add this in here. There we go. See this? So pin is equivalent to the bookmark. I added this. And now I can go back to here. And this is my dashboard. I'm going back here. And I can go to the pins. And this is the one. I can do it here. So that's another way to add visualization. Now, what else I could do is, again, this is what I could not do. Back when I was looking at the exploration, I did not have this many options. But in here, I've got the properties, and the properties I have depend on what visualization I'm looking at, right? Like I was stuck to the blue color. I don't have to anymore. I can go in and I change it. And you can change other input parameters, like for instance, if you want the actual values to show and etc. So this is something to experiment with. It's something that you're gonna need to play, okay? Something that you need to play around with, okay? So, yeah, I can do it like this. I can just change anything I want. And then I can go to general and I can always change the colors, add title, but I'm gonna let you play around with this on your own. Let me minimize this, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save it. Now, another thing that I could do here that I could not do in my explorations is widgets. And just for the demonstration purposes, I'm gonna drag and drop this text here, and I'm gonna type this: I love data 610. I love data 610, okay? Now, what else I have here again? I can change the properties, right? I can change the text color, etc. Right? I have properties here. Alternatively, I have this toolbar that opens. Okay. So now let's save this. So I've got this. Then I've got different shapes that you can add. And then you can also, if you wanted to, you can add an image. But if you're adding an image, you're actually going to enter the URL or web location where image is. Okay. You cannot copy and paste the picture itself. You would have to add the URL if you wanted to. Okay, now you can also do this. You can drag and drop these widgets here, and you can change the widget properties, etc. Right? So this is something you can do. Now, what else you could do is this. You can do the filters. We can filter all tabs, or we can filter only a single tab. So let's say, so we have states everywhere in both tabs. So let's go back in here, and I'm going to do, look, I'm going to select tab 1. See this, the tab that is selected is underlined. It's because it's one of the properties that I said earlier. So now what I'll do is I'm going to filter all tabs by the state, and then I'm going to select Iowa. And all my data is going to be limited only to Iowa. See this? I only see Iowa, okay? So to see things better, I'm going to close the properties, okay? It only shows Iowa. And of course, you're going to get this little warning. Well, it's because there is only one location. It thinks that this visualization may not be appropriate because it's just one state, but don't worry about this for right now. Now, when I go to this thing here, it's also filtered to Iowa. So why is that? It's because I applied the filter to all tabs. Right? I applied the filter to all tabs. What I could also do is this. I can modify the filter, or I can delete the filter, right? If I no longer need the filter, I can delete it. Now let me do something else. I'm gonna add a filter, but instead I'm gonna apply it to this tab only. So here, all visualizations are limited to Kansas. On the other hand, when I go back here, I see all the states. And the reason is I did not apply the filter to all tabs. I only applied the filter to this tab, right? I only applied the filter to this tab. And again, if I click on a state here, I can modify the filter values. I can do just 2 states, right? And this change is applied only in this tab. It's not applied on this tab, right? Then similarly, I can go back here and I can delete this filter. Okay, so I've got tab 1, and if I want to, I can rename this, and I'm going to rename it as scene 1. Later on, I'll explain why, but for right now, oh, take my word. Okay, scene. Oh, notice that there is also the spell checker, which is good. Okay, so now I'm going to rename this tab. I'm going to rename it as scene 2. Well, take my word for it. I'm going to show you why. Scene 2. Okay, I renamed these tabs. And I can go as many tabs as I need to. Well, I'm unaware what the limit is, but for sure you can do or at least 5 or 6, at least. Okay, so let's save this. So for the dashboard, multiple tab. For infographics, you're not asked to do it, but infographics has only 1 tab. All right, so here it is. Those are my scenes, right? It's going to be a scene later on when I create the story. But for right now, let's think of it as a tab, okay? So we're going to go back to the slides. Well, I did not necessarily cover things in the same order as the slides are because, well, it's a lot of concepts, right? So basically here, I outlined for you the dashboard interface where you can actually preview the data, right? In this case, it's showing me all data, not just data being visualized. But I believe if you select specific visualization, look, still, it's showing me this data modular, right? This data that is being visualized, that it was doing. Okay, now, okay, let's close this out. So we went through that, we went over this. Now let's go back to the slides. Okay, so here, those are the tab properties that I showed you. Then you may also change the default language. In this case, I kept it as English. And you can change the background color and layout, etc. Now here, I just showed you more different ways you can add visualizations. You can add them from the visualization library, right? So this is a visualization library. You can just drag and drop this, and then you can specify which fields, right? You can drag and drop the fields the way I did it. You can also do this. You can make a copy of the visualization and edit this. Like see here, I have one slot open in here, so I can select this, and there is a way to copy this. Okay, you can copy this, or I can just, well, there should be a way, duplicate. There we go. So here is my copy, and I can just move this to this slot, right? I can move it here. Then I can just change this. I can just change this. Oops. So to change this, perhaps I no longer want to see the state. I'm going to remove this. And instead of the state, I want to see something like, let's do the coverage, right? I want the segments to be coverage in here, in the second copy. See this? There we go. So one thing to note is this. Here is going to be percentage of claim by coverage. So I have to edit the title, coverage, okay? Now, even though I no longer show the state in here, I may still filter this by state. See this, whenever I select one state in here, this will be filtered by state. It's going to show claims, percentage of claims by coverage type in this state. In this case, I selected the Missouri. So it's going to show all data in Missouri. When you see this, selecting this slice, this field that I'm filtering it by, it does not necessarily have to be part of the visualization. The data is still filtered. See this? Or if I change the state here, okay, here, this visualization will be reloaded, right? for this specific selected state. Or I can remove filter. See this? See this? The filter is applied to all visualizations. And the reason is all visualizations on the same tab are linked because I used the same data source to create them, right? And this is going to be the case when the user runs this dashboard. See this? So if I save this, and now I'm going to do this, I'm going to change. This is the edit mode, right? When I click here, this is the view mode. In the view mode, see this? So this is a view mode. I can close this filters area. And this is what I'm doing now as a customer. I cannot edit this, but as a customer, I can interact it. I can select the state. Then if I wanted to, well, in this visualization, I cannot. But if I go back in here, in this tab, I believe in here I can drill down because to build this visualization, remember I used the navigation path. I used the navigation path to build this visualization. So what I could do in here, as a user, I can drill down into the states. And all visualizations on this tab should be, if it's done right, they should be updated for me. It should be updated for me. But then if I select this, right, if I select the specific here, right, I want to look at the location code. See this? I want to look at the suburban location code. All the visualizations have to be filtered accordingly. See this? As an end user, I can drill down. I'm looking at the state Missouri and location suburban. See this? So this is a nice feature. I can create this. One visualization has a drill down, and I can use that to drill down in all visualizations. Even if the state was not part of this visualization here, it would still filter the data for me based on what I select, right? And so now I can go out and it did it for me, okay? So we did that, and it's a lot of information. I recognize it, but you know. Okay, so we talked about this. Well, in the slides, I used a different visualization to show as an example, but the idea is similar, okay? Now, this is a pie chart. This is what I showed you earlier today. Well, as a homework, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a copy of this data module that I used. I put it in there is a shared folder where I saved the copy of data used for demonstration. So if you want to follow along, you'll have that option, right? When you watch this demo. Okay, so we talked about adding the text, such as I love data 610, right? We talked about text properties. We talked about linking visualizations. Now we're gonna start the story. So what I did right now is just the display, right? I did not specify the sequence in which I want things to appear. There is no timeline. There is no sort of like an animation that I wanted to see. I just have a set of tabs. I split visualizations into a set of tabs. What I'm gonna do now is this. I can export my dashboard as a story. This is what you're going to do for assignment 4. For assignment 4, you're just going to do this. You're gonna do this, save as a story. You're going to select how the story is presented. In this case, let me select the slideshow for right now and explain to you the differences. Slideshow is basically similar to the PowerPoint presentation, okay? Let me select this for right now, and I'm gonna do select. What this will do is, in my content, I'm saving this, and by default, it's gonna name it same name as dashboard, and it's gonna add prefix story, okay? And it's gonna open it after I save it. I'm gonna save this. Now let's see what happens. Okay, and let's look at this slide. So story, well, in this case, it's gonna be similar to PowerPoint presentation, and it's gonna have numerous visualization. And this is sort of like a narrative. okay? And you have a set of scenes, and each scene builds upon the previous scene. You are presenting your insights without actually exporting the visualization. You can set when objects appear and when the object disappear. And of course, you may always add the images, shapes, and etc. You can also select the brand new story, right? And I'll show you how to do that. But first things first, what I did was I exported this as a story, right? So stories have different transition style. What I did right now, each scene is going to show on a different canvas. And when I do guided journey, my scenes will appear on the same canvas, okay? So you you can change the scene duration, you can add animations, you can apply the filters, you can customize the transitions as well, okay? Now, well, this one, it shows here what's gonna happen. Well, this is a blank interface, but in our case, we're gonna look at, and I believe, what I did was on another slide, here it is, I'm showing you how to save the story, and here I'm gonna show the correspondence. So every tab in the dashboard is going to become a scene in your story. When I export the dashboard as a story, every tab in a story, every tab in the dashboard becomes a scene in the story. The story has an edit mode and a view mode. Let me swap to the edit mode for right now. And what I see is that I have scene 1 and scene 2. Do you remember? Scene 1 was a tab, right? Scene 1 in here, if I go back to my dashboard, this is a tab. What I see appearing in the first tab, I see it on my first scene. Now, very important, before you create a story, you want to make sure that your dashboard has everything that it needs to have. You want to make sure it's done, because from here on, any change that you make to the dashboard, it will not be visible on the story. It's not automatic. Once you export your story, once you save the story when you save the dashboard as a story, right? Any changes that you make to a dashboard afterwards, you're not gonna see it in the story, okay? So here you have to plan carefully, okay? Only when you're done with your dashboard, save it as a story. Otherwise, any changes you make afterwards, they won't be here. You would have to explicitly make them, okay? So here is a scene 1, here is a scene 2. You are asked in a homework assignment you are asked which features of the stories are unique, right? And what are the benefits? So now we're going to look at the unique features. Do you see this? So this is here by default. Each scene is going to play for 5 seconds, but we can change the duration. So right now, if I just click the play button, you see that nothing happens because I have not configured it. This first scene in here, it has 4 objects. So what I need to do right now is this. I need to click here, and this is showing me the timeline. Each of these objects in here corresponds to a bar in the timeline. So this is a scene duration, right? So here, this bar, scene start and scene end. If I want something to appear after perhaps 2 seconds, I have to select this and I have to drag and drop this end. I have to grab this and drag and drop. So this is when this pie chart, right? Remember, this is a pie chart, where I change the radius property, radius percentage, so it looks like donut. So here it is. I want this visualization to appear at 2 seconds, and I want it to be visible through the rest of the presentation. Then I want to take this, and I want this appear after 3 seconds, but I want my scene to last longer than 5 seconds, so I can extend this. And by default, well, when I extend this bar, and it's going to extend the scene duration, right? But this guy here ends at 5 seconds, right? And I'm going to keep I'm gonna extend the duration of this. So see here, this does nothing but just extends I just specify the duration when the object appears and when the object disappears. And I'm going to save this for right now. And I'm going to preview this first thing. See this? Oh, it's really hard to see. I'm going to make it more better. I'm going to collapse this filters area, and I'm going to collapse this. Okay. So now I can collapse this if I want to. Oops. See, that's what I was telling you earlier, is that the more things you have, the harder it is to see things. Okay, the more you have. See this now. Look at this. I'm looking at this. Oh boy, where is this? I thought I had four objects. Now I have only two. Do you know why I don't see this two? Because if I go back to my settings, I specified that I don't want to see the first two objects in the beginning. These are two objects that I don't want to see initially when I preview, right? What I see in here right now are only the objects that I see when I start playing the previewing the scene. So here it is. Let me do this so that you can see it better, right? I'm going like this, and I'm gonna do play now. See this? So as I'm playing this, things appear and disappear based on the timeline that I specified, right? So that is what it's doing. What you could also do is this. So now let's go back. You could add another scene from scratch, right? You don't have to limit yourself to two scenes. So to add the source scene, I would probably click on a plus, but here you need to specify the template. So it could be 2x2, or it could have a visualization and without the title, etc. So it depends on the purpose of this scene. You could select different templates, right? So I'm gonna do this, for instance. So that's gonna be my scene 3, right? It's gonna be the third one. And if I wanted to, I could just add visualizations, and I could do this. I could do visualizations. This I can do chart. Then here I can specify the visualization types that I want to use. Remember, this is similar to what you did. Well, well, look at this. This is a data source, right? This is similar. This is a data source, and it shows the data module that it was used to create the dashboard that we saved as a story. Okay, and I can select any visualization that I wanted to, like perhaps well, I can do, well, just anything. Okay, I can do the line, just an example, and I can make my x-axis to be, well, perhaps, well, it's not going to be response, but I can do that. Let's see, not the claim amount, but probably, well, I can do state code if I wanted to, and then I could do this. Let's say I want to do this, the monthly premium, right? Oops, I have to make it on the y-axis rather, right? Let's see what it's gonna do for me. Okay, there we go. But instead of actually showing the grand total of all monthly premiums, I can do this. I can do the auto, well, I can do the average rather, right? I can go up here and I selected the average, right? So it's showing me the average, and I can minimize this, right? So this is my next thing. And if I wanted to, I could add visualizations from the pinned, right? So let's save this. And perhaps that I want to add some of my data models that I created for assignment 3. So this is a data exploration. I can go back to here, and in here, I can go back to my cards, right? And this is a decision tree that I created for assignment 3. And I'm going to pin this. I'm going to pin this, right? Oops, it says practice on the pin. Then I can go back, I can return to my visualization, I can return to my the story, and I can go ahead and add this. I can go back, here it is, see this? I can go back and add this if I wanted to, etc. Okay? You can play around with the layout, and you can also play around with the properties. That's what you'll be asked to do in this assignment. After you save your dashboard as a story, I would strongly recommend exploring the properties that are specific to stories. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. I'm going to look at the properties, and let's unselect the visualization. I want to look at the properties perhaps for the scene, right? So for the scene, you can specify the theme, you can specify the canvas, and here you can specify the properties for all scenes, and you can do the transition type, and you can do, perhaps you want to do the sweep transition type, right? Then you can go back in here and you want to play all scenes, right? When I preview, I want to be able to play all scenes. Then I'm gonna save this. Look what I'm gonna do right now. I'm going to swap to the view mode. This is a view mode, and I'm going to go back to this is the first scene, and I'm going to preview now, see what happens. So this is my first scene, right? So now it's gonna go back to my next scene. Well, I didn't change the appearance, right? But look at this, watch, the transition. Do you see this transition? I specified how things are transitioned between scenes. If I wanted to, I can set the loop property, etc., right? Or what else I could do, remember that I selected the slide, right? I selected, but there are different methods of how you can transit. Take a look at this story type. I did the slideshow. Also, I can do the guided journey, and I can select the guided journey type. You see that? This is a guided journey, right? So basically, in here, the difference is whether you have the same or different canvases. So let's save it. I changed it to guided journey. And what I'm going to do right now is I go back to the view mode, right? I go back to the view mode and I'll play it, and you'll see the difference. So I'll play it. See this? Now you're gonna see the difference. So this is the first. Now, do you see this? How it's changing? It's sliding. Do you see this? See this? The difference? It's sliding. Instead of just replacing the visualizations, see how it slides? And now I see all of this. At the end, I see all of my scenes. See, that's a difference in how, the difference is how things are transitioning, see? The style that you select depends on how the transition works. It's a matter of if you have one canvas, right? Or if you have on different canvas. You see this one, the story, it's a different canvas. But for this, for the guided journey, all scenes are displayed in the same canvas. And then the type of guided journey you choose determines on how the scenes slide, basically. All right? So this is going to be for your assignment 4. You're going to explore the properties, right? The transitions and etc. Right? So, but in order to open properties, I have to swap to edit mode, right? Then, only then I can look at the properties. And your homework assignment is to explore different properties that are available, and you need to discuss the advantages of presenting this, right, in this way, okay? And you can add widget, etc. So this is part of your assignment, all right? So what you could also do is you can create a brand new story from scratch. To do that, you would go back to the welcome page, and you would have to do this. You can do new, and then you can select story in here. Then you select the template you want. Perhaps you want a guided journey. You're gonna select create. Your next step is to specify the data source, right? You're gonna click here to select the data sources. Now you're gonna go to your content, and you're gonna find the data modules that you created, You're gonna click add, and you're going to follow the same steps, and you'll be adding the visualizations to each of these scenes. You're going to be physically adding visualizations. Do you remember about 10 minutes ago I showed you where I added the scene and I added visualizations to it? You're going to be doing something along this line here. And you can change the slide properties, right? You can see those are the placeholders. The visualization has a text and it has a visualization placeholder. You can change when things appear, disappear. And this one, you can zoom in, you can zoom, adjust the zoom levels, etc., right? Etc. And that's going to be part of your assignment 5 task. You're going to be creating it from scratch. Well, but the thing is, they say 2 heads are better than 1, right? So you're going to be working at least 2 to 5 people in a group. So it means that you have more resources to work together, right? So that's a reason you have more time to explore, right? And I'm going to show you more. I'm going to talk to you more about the assignment 5. But first, we want to make sure that we cover this, right? You're going to have a copy of this slide. And here I'm using different visualization to show the scene timelines, but the whole idea is the same. You're gonna save your dashboard as a story, and you're not gonna leave it as is. You need to add to it because you're asked to illustrate the unique functionalities of the story. And to do that, you're gonna discuss the timelines, you're gonna discuss the transitions between scenes, right? So hint, hint. All right. What you also have in Cognos Analytics is that you have some samples. Well, because, well, that's not something that you're going to turn in, but sometimes you get an idea on what you can do. You want to look at the samples. So you're going to go back to the, oh, see this is what I did. I filtered. I have to clear the filter. All right. So in here, if I go to samples, here I see some dashboards. These were pre-installed. These dashboards were pre-installed for me, so I can just go in. I cannot modify them, but this is something that I can check out at my leisure to give me ideas on what I could do with my data. Right? When I need to do something with my data, sometimes I can look at this, so that way I can see, I can get some ideas. You won't be able to change it. You have the view only privilege for this, okay? You're not gonna be submitting this for the grades, but that's something for you to just, as I said, something for you to get an idea. And see here, stories. You want to look at some guided journeys that are already in there, and what exactly are they doing? How are they utilizing the guided journeys for functionalities that you're asked to discuss in your assignment, right? You're asked to discuss, okay? So this is how they're configuring the timelines, etc. So this is going to be your homework assignment, okay? I'm gonna close this out. I'm not gonna do that for you, okay? Your task is to discuss the story functionalities, right? Something that is unique to the story. So here you want to talk about the timeline, how things appear. You're going to talk about the transitions, etc. How does your story tell the story, right? That's an assignment. Now, the fun part is going to be the group work. Okay, here it is. Assignment 5 is fun, but not at the expense of doing the work. Your last assignment, you're going to be placed in the groups. So somewhere at the end of week 9, your instructor or your TA will send me the group assignments. You're going to be assigned to the group in Leo, and also the folder, the special team folder, will be created for your study group, for your group, right? In Cognos Analytics, and the folder will appear in the team area, and I'll show you exactly where it is. That folder, specific folder, will be visible for you for your team members, your instructor and your TA will only see that folder, and me as an administrator. Okay, not the way I'm logged in right now. Now I'm using the demo account, but when I log in as administrator, I will see your work. Okay, so your all members in your group will see. Now, who will not see it? People, your schoolmates who are not part of your team, they're not going to see your work. The instructors who are not teaching your session are not going to see it, right? So there are some permissions that I will be setting on the groups, right? And adding you to the group accordingly, right? So if you're team one, you're going to see the folder for team one. So let me explain how that works. Let's make an assumption. Let's assume that I'm enrolled in session 9040 and I was assigned to the team one, okay? So when week 5 starts, this is what I'm going to do. Somebody in my team is going to pick a team leader. Suppose that I'm a team leader. So everyone on the team will be able to see the group. Look, let me show you what you need to be able to see, how to access your folder. So here's the process. Your faculty sends me the information, right? I add you to the group, then I'm gonna notify the instructor and TA that this is ready. The instructor, TA will notify you. When you get that email, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to team content, right? In the team content, there is something that you will see is this assignment 5 group work. You're not gonna see it right now, but when the time comes, when your instructor TA tells you that Yelena configured the groups, you want to see this. See this? Make sure that you see this assignment 5 group work. Now, if you took this class in the fall, you will see the fall 2019 folder and the spring folder. For those of you who did not take this class in the fall, you're going to see just the spring, okay? So you are interested in the spring anyways, you're going to see the spring. You're going to click on this. In here, this is your session, and this is a team number that you belong to. If you're not sure what session you're in, don't worry about it, okay? Make sure, well, you can find this out, you can find out this information in Leo, all right? You can find this out in Leo, but you want to make sure that the team folder here that you see, the team number matches the team number that you are assigned to in Leo. Like for example, if I'm a team 1 and I'm enrolled in session 9040, I need to make sure that I don't see the team 2, that I see only team 1, right? And then I should be able to save the group work in here. So this is a designated area for your group and you have a right permission for this group. Another way you could do this verification is this. See this? This is the person, this is you, right? And in here, you're gonna click on in your preferences, you should be able to see this information. If you go into advanced, it's gonna show you in here. So here it is group and roles, and here it shows you the group you're in. See this? Group and roles, and right now the role is analytics user, so this is the role that you have, and you're going to be a member. This is a group that you will be assigned to. This is another way to see it. So basically, few things. You're going to be a member of this group, and this group has a right privilege to this folder, right? So that was the group name, and this is a folder, the folder designated for this group. I mean, don't worry about the configuration. I'm taking care of it, okay? So this is the folder for team 1, right? For right now, I just added only demo member. Later on, I'll take care of adding, okay? So now what you'll need to do is, each team is going to select the team leader. You're gonna meet as a group, and you're going to look at the data sets. The data sets are in here. See this? Data for assignments. You're gonna go here. Team leader will save a copy of the data file into your team folder. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to assignment 5. You have 5 data sets. You have to select one of these. This is for assignment 5 only, not assignment 4, but assignment 5. Here are 5 options. And the last 2 are fun because they have missing values, okay? So here are 5. You select one and only one of 5. In a classroom, you have links to dataset description. So this is a group decision. Once you decided, the team leader will do this. So let's assume I selected cars data and I'm a team leader. This is what I'm going to do for my team. I'm going to click here and I'm going to do copy or move. I'm going to do copy or move. And I want to do copy, okay? I won't be able to move it. I won't be able to move it because, the reason is the permission is a read only. You only have a write permission for your team folder. So what you need to do right now is this. See this? This is a data set, right? That you want to save a copy of it to your designated team area. You're gonna go in here. See this? Okay, let me do it again. Here, I'm gonna go here, copy or move, and I'm gonna make a copy. But in this case, I'm not doing it my content. I'm going to do it in a team content, and this is assignment 5 group work, spring 2020, and this is my team. This is what I'm gonna do, right? And I'm gonna do copy to. I cannot move to because access to that folder is read only, right? You cannot delete the file because you have a read-only access for that folder, right? Actually, run access, run. You have a run access for this folder because if the folder had anything like sample dashboard, you would have been able to run it. So your access to that folder is run, which means you can open stuff read-only, you can make copies, etc. Okay? So now I'm gonna copy this. Okay, another thing that you're gonna do, if you're a team leader, you're gonna go to the team content, right? And you're gonna do this. You're gonna go to your folder, right? Again, you're gonna go in here. You're gonna go in here and you're gonna do this. Create data modular. All right, you're gonna do create data modular and you're gonna save this data modular as this, save as. And you want to make sure that you're saving it in your group. See this? Assignment, you want to go to assignment 5, group work. See this? You want to save it in your team folder, right? And you want to say cars, data module. This is very important because you want to make sure that you're using the same copy of the data set. I mean, the same copy of the data. All team members must work from the same copy of the data because you don't want to apply the same filters 5 times, right? You don't want to, if you have 5 team members, 5 people in a team, you don't want to define the same filter 5 times. So here, this is what you would need to do is the team leader creates this data module. Then you can have another teammate who will do all of the data pre-processing perhaps, right? So if there are missing values, you discuss it as a team, how you handle it, then you select a person who will actually apply it, right? Then you can do some explorations. I would have to look closer at the requirements. Then you do the displays and you create a story, right? But this is important. You have to use the same copy of the data because if I use the data located in my folder and then I share the visualization with the team, my teammates will get an error. You know why? Because there is a relationship. Each visualization that I created, right, is visualization. Each display, each story is associated with the data module. There is a internal. Each data module has an internal number that each display is associated with, right? It does not matter. Even if I have a copy of this data with the same name, it does not matter. If I use my local copy to create the story, when I save that story into the team folder, my teammates won't be able to open it. So this is very important. You need to use the same copy, right? You need to use the same copy of the data to work from. I cannot just share the visualization, okay? Because my teammates cannot access what I have in my content area. And well, I've seen these errors in the past semester when somebody would create something and use the copy of data in the personal area and then save it in the team folder, and the problems start, okay? So now here is a data module, right, that I saved in the team area. I'm gonna close this. So now it's time to do some work, right? Suppose that I'm a team member. First of all, I want to create the data exploration, right? So here, okay, everything that I accessed, anything that I accessed recently in the team area, in the team content is also gonna appear in my recents. So this is what I recently accessed, but I have to keep in mind that this guy right here is saved in the team folder. Well, but I still can do this. I can still do create data exploration. But when I create this data exploration, I have some decisions to make. I can save it in my personal area, right, for right now. And then I can just copy it over. When I'm ready, I can copy it over to the team folder, right? You always want to have a backup. It's a good idea, right? You always want to have a backup. But this is what I'll do here. I'm gonna do save as, right? I can do, oops, I'm gonna save this. And for right now, I'm saving it to my area, and I'm gonna save it as cars exploration, okay? So what I did here, I used the data source that is saved. I use the data that is saved in the team folder to create this exploration, right? So basically, when one of the team members applies a new filter or something new, needs new calculation to the data module, the rest of the team should be able to see the updates. You would need to close and reopen all of your explorations and displays to see the updates to the data module, okay? So here it is. I created cars exploration. Let's close this out. I did something to it, and I saved it in my folder. Oops. Let me go back to the welcome page. Here it is. This is my content, okay? So what I could do, I could unfilter it. And as you see it, I have things piling up now, right? And I'm gonna look at the explorations, right? Explorations. And then this is a cars exploration. Now I'm ready. What I could do is to share this with my team members. I can move it to the team folder now, or I can copy it, okay? But the thing is, if I make a copy, right, any changes that I make to my local copy will not be automatically applied to the copy that is in the team folder. Any changes that I make to my copy will not be automatically applied to the copy in the team folder. It's asynchronous, right? But anyway, to copy to the team folder, you do this. You can do copy or move, copy or move. Now you're gonna have to go back to the team content, and you're gonna find your team folder, and you're gonna do copy to or move to. And you're gonna say, hi, wait a minute. If I want to do move to, am I allowed to? Yes, you are, because this is your folder. You have a right permission for your folder. Yeah. So this should not be a problem. And then to see it, you would have to go back to the my content. And for some reason, it remembers where you were before. See, this is your folder. This is your team. Here it is, right? So your team will see it. However, if I used the local copy, if I use the copy of data from my content to create this, there will be ouch, because my teammates don't have access to the data in my content, right? They would see an error. And I believe somewhere on the slides, I have a copy of the error. I have a copy. You're going to have the slides because I realize that by the time we get to assignment 5, some of you might forget what I talked about. So you're going to need to watch this video again, and you're going to have the slides, right? You're going to have the slides, but this is a big ouch. This could be you if you did not back up your work. This is what's going to happen if your teammate, for some unknown reason, goes to the team folder the night before the assignment is due and deletes the data module that you used to create the visualization. You're gonna lose everything. That's gonna be you. Okay, that's gonna how you're gonna look like. Well, no. I mean, I'm serious. It happened before. So we want to be very careful before you delete something. What you could do is create a folder called trash and move it in there first. Do not actually delete it, okay? Be very careful because your classmate may have created, your group member may have created something where they use that data module as a data source, right? So delete, be very careful. That's a warning, okay? Because the deletions cannot be restored. Even if you save the file under the same name, no, because it goes, every file has a unique identification number. That's what it is, okay? And this is an error that you're gonna get when you copy the exploration or the dashboard. When you copy the dashboard to your team folder, but it's a dashboard where you use the copy of the data that's not in a team folder, then your teammates are gonna see this error message. They're gonna see this error message, okay? No access. And you will also get this error message. Oh, this error message, this is another reason you'll get it. If, okay, suppose that I recently opened the data module or visualization, right? I opened something from my team folder and it's sitting in here, right? It's sitting in here, it's in my team folder. Then suppose that my teammates goes and deletes the file from the team folder. Sometimes the shortcut does not automatically disappear from my recents. I'm gonna try to open the file, I'm gonna get no access error. Well, this is something that I noted previously and I decided to add it to the slide. So it's possible that you may see this error and you may also see this error. You may also see this error. This error will happen if the data used to build the the visualization, the exploration is not available, right? If the data was deleted, or if it was, if you created the visualizations from the data that is sitting in your content, not in a group folder, right? So this is very important. I'm not sure how much to stress this, okay? Somebody does it. Now, another thing, this is a little bonus. This is a case statement. This is a bonus. As you may recall, last time I showed you how to create the data groups, right? But in here, this is an example of the case statement that you can do. This is an income category, and I can actually, so I'm giving you a chance to try, right, on your own, but you can type this nice case statement, and you can basically, it's sort of like a similar to creating the data group, but instead you're not creating the hidden columns, right, which stands for the group number, and you are creating the calculation. So this is an example of the calculation. This is a bonus. I wanted to give this to you because in reality, if you open the data group, if you open the definition of the calculation, if you open the code, it looks scary, trust me. So on the back end, it generates the code for you. So just something to keep in mind, okay? See this? So if I go back to the data, this is the data module, right? And I'm gonna open this one, Clemson Weather Data Module. So if I go back to in here, this is a grouped column, right? And if I do this one, edit data group, nope, not edit data group, but it's an expression. See this? If I go back in here, and if I go to my properties, see this? This is a code that is gets generated internally. So this is a code that it's doing. See this? This is what it's doing internally for you. This is the code, right? That you did not have to write. It wrote it for you. But for you, I gave you an example of a simple case statement, but nothing as complex as this, okay? So whenever you create the data groups or anything like that, it will create this code for you. This is a generated code, okay? Now we went over this, and not sure how much to stress not to delete. There is a dependency. This data module depends on the data set that was used to build this data module, right? Then in turn, the dashboard that I created today depends on this data module. So this is really very important. If you delete the data, this will be invalid. So that's the reason why you have this validation, right? You can run, you can check. You're gonna see the error. It's gonna show that it's invalid if you delete the data. I'm not gonna do it right now because, you know, I don't want to cause the trouble, right? Okay, so I guess here are some links, but before I post this, I need to revisit because today it was brought to my attention that some links in week 8 content might need to be rechecked because, well, IBM, they keep on improving, they keep on adding more resources, right? So once in a while, the links change, they keep on updating, okay? So once in a while, you could see if you find any links that you're trying to open and you get a not expected result, let the faculty know, okay? And they will take care of it. It's because it has been like what, at least few months since the day when the content was created and now. So sometimes the sites move and you know there are new resources. So I'm gonna recheck the links before I give the slides to your faculty. Okay, so now it's time for questions. All of you now have some experience with Cognos Analytics, and I expected to see some questions. Questions. Guys, your turn to speak. Because if there are no questions, then Yelena starts asking questions. I don't see anything in the chat. And similar to the first session, you would have to watch this more than once because this is how we learn, right? And in fact, I discover something where each time I do this demo, I discover something that I have not seen before. So you have to really sit down and explore all the available properties. Make sure to invest some time. It's going to be, make sure to spend some time. It's going to be a time well spent. Trust me. It will be a time well spent in the end. Okay? So questions, comments. Comments are welcome also. Anything. Anybody. Any suggestions? I'm open to things. No? Does anybody have something to add? Oh, yeah, I see something in the chat. Okay, we were not able to get the Zoom on time. What was the problem? Oh, uh, I'm not sure what was the problem, Professor Moreto, because
I think some of them were stuck in the waiting room
oh, okay.
because the screen was full with your material, so I couldn't see that there were people in the waiting room.
Ah,
But you have
that's
the recording of the entire session will be
yes.
available to you, so you can watch it.
Oh yeah, it's because Professor Marietta, see, that's me, that's my personality. I try to be as punctual as possible. I always, well, not always, but 99.9% of times I start on time. So this is me. I mean, yes. But basically, let me tell you guys what I did in the beginning. In the very beginning, I just did a quick summary of the data that I was starting with and of the filters that were applied to it. So I just showed this data and I showed a bunch of filters that were applied to it. Like, for example, last time I showed you how to filter out all records that are missing effective to date. Then I did this a selectable filter, right? Where policy contains personal for small vehicle types. Then in addition to that, we also replaced the missing income values with an average income. This is what I did not do last time, but I did it for this demonstration. If monthly premium is missing, I want to set it to an average. And here, what I did was if a claim reason is missing, I want to replace it with a text unknown. And I believe on your assignment too, there was a categorical variable that had some missing values. That was one of the way you could do when you wrote about handling missing values. This is something you could do, right? Well, keep it in mind for assignment 5, because there are a couple data set options in assignment 5 that have missing values, right? You would need to discuss the data pre-processing. So this is for the categorical variable, right? If you're not removing the data row, right? If the value is missing, you can code the missing values as unknown. So I just basically in the beginning, I went through what data I'm using and these filters, right? Because this is what you'll be doing in assignment 4. You're asked to summarize what you did in assignment 3 and some of the key findings, which were the models. Right? In my example, this is the total claim amount, right? And this, what else I did was I created the data groups. And in here, somehow I got annoyed that for some reason, total claim amount, it was doing the sum for me. So I just went into the data module and I changed the aggregation property to average. I did it at the data module level because I didn't want to change it every time I try to put visualization. So that's what I did in the beginning. And depending what time you were able to join the meeting, the beginning was just a recap because this session is a continuation of the last session. And I wanted to be a continuation. So that's basically what was done. Does it help? Does it help? But I mean, I try to be, yeah, I try to be on time, yes. But well, I'm sure that you will have questions later on. But if you were in a waiting room for like 5 minutes ish, then not much, not miss much. But well, it depends. But again, well, I'm just being on time. I try to be on time. But well, there are times when I'm late, but if I'm late, there's a very good reason, okay? Okay. Oh, the system admitted you very late. How late is the late? Could you tell me? How late was the late, Professor Moreto? How late was the late? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Well, see, the thing is, late is an abstract term. Do you recall what time was it when you were able to? Oh, more than a slight 20? Oh, no, that's a big 20. Uh-oh. So you missed all of the displays? So are you trying to say that you missed the dashboard and the dashboard properties and the dashboard templates? Did you see this? Because this is a big half of the presentation. No? Okay, no. Oh, so Justin, you did not see this? Okay. Oh, you did not see this, so you missed half of the presentation. Okay, because basically what I did on the first part, I showed how to create the new dashboard. Oh, oh. So what is the solution? Where do we go from here, Steve?
Well, you'll have the recording and all the slides. I don't think you have a
Right.
problem. You just watch the recording. Should be
Yes.
okay.
Okay, and also we can do this. How about this? Yes, you watch the recording and you do the slides, but this applies to faculty also. If you have questions, do not hesitate to email me. Okay? Well, yes, I'm going to email the slides. I'm going to email the slides, but this is what happens. The recording takes some time to process. When Steve gets the recording, he's gonna send the link, but there is a little delay. So this is what, almost like hour and a half, right? It could take up to an hour to process.
Yeah,
Well, it
it'll
depends.
be
Yeah.
available. I'll send it out this evening, and then the faculty will post it whenever they get to it, I guess.
Yes. Now I'm gonna send recording. I'm gonna send the slides right away. But what I do know, first I'm gonna check the links as I promised. Yes. But yes, looks like you missed a big chunk because I covered the dashboard in the details and I saved the dashboard as a story. This is what will happen in your assignment 4. You're gonna create dashboards and you're gonna save it as a story. Yes. Okay. Well, sorry it happened, but how many students actually were in the waiting room? Because, okay, I see. Okay. But are there any questions? Okay, no further questions. Okay. What? Oh, you don't know how many were tonight. Okay. Oh, yes, you were. I think, yes, it's possible in Leo. I think it's possible to check how many were online, but the fact that they were in Leo may not necessarily mean that they were in presentation. I mean, I don't know. Okay, anyway. Sorry about that. I wish we were aware. All right.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we'll, as I said, we'll make it available as soon as we can. Let me see if make sure that this works.
Mm-hmm.